Praise the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And peace to everybody that come in the name of Jesus. Everybody that's on social media, it's a blessing to have you for the Lord's Sabbath day. The title of this lesson is a real simple lesson. Simple title too. It's just charity. But it goes a long way. And in and of itself, charity is very important. And, you know, a lot of times when people think about charity, they think about, you know, just giving and, you know, pretty much, you know, helping the homeless and the poor. And those things is very much needed. And it is about charity. But it's also a mindset. Because when you start talking about stuff like, things like getting your mind together on helping people, not only just giving somebody some change on the side, it's a form of thinking we need to have. And when we get in this lesson, Lord willing, we're going to see exactly how significant charity is, because it's something that we all need. And to be quite frank, you need charity to just get you in the kingdom, because that's what the judgment is all about. Just like he read about, you know, Psalms about fire and brimstone. Your judgment, your trial as to be God and to understand and get God's kingdom is how you deal with one another. That's dealing with your brothers and sisters, because when you look at it, that's how the Lord view things. It's how we interact with each other is what's going to be the judgment or the selection of you getting into God's kingdom. And it's definitely going towards that, because you on trial basically right now to see how righteous you gonna be, so that you able to attain that. So when you start talking about charity, that's one thing that coincides with humbleness, meekness. They all interact with one another, and that's what we need to build on to get that. So we know the commandments, right? And the first commandment is to love the Lord. Then the second one is to love thy neighbor as thyself. And the Lord will tell you that what you're going to read, that those two hangs all the laws and the prophets. It's just that important. It's very important that you keep that in mind and be charitable. Because if you don't have charity, man, it's going to be a hard road to get by, because then you fall up under being prideful and all that stuff, and you know you only can be on one side or the other. Either you're gonna be, you know, a man that's humble and meek, or you're gonna be on the other side where, hey, this is gonna be a terror because you don't have charity to help you. And we're gonna find out through this lesson that charity helps in so much ways, even the things that you do. It almost seems like a checklist. Like how much evil you done, how much wickedness you done. If you do some righteousness, that can kind of set the scale. You know, like you have a balance of the scale, whether it lean one way or the other. It's almost like that when you talk about charity, because it can kind of erase some of your sins to balance you out, so that you're able to make it into the kingdom of God. And in and of itself, it's basically teaching you to humble yourself, because this world right now is totally opposite of that. Forget about charity. People don't want to help people at all, period. You know, you don't even want to do anything for nobody. You don't care about nobody. When you get into the media, you get into your neighborhood, it's all about me, myself, and I. We can care less about nobody else. I was talking to a lady I did some work for, and she was trying to tell me some things about, you know, when you're supposed to help people, and I already had this title together, but it's just interesting that, you know, and I was going to do this lesson. It's where she came and was like, yeah, you know, I don't mind helping people out, but I think you should help people at your house first, and then take care of home first, and then you help people outside of that. But that ain't exactly how the Lord, you're supposed to help all, because we all supposed to be brothers and sisters. And I was trying to see what angle she was going into as far as that, but you never could get no basis on that, because, you know, obviously you just talking off of what she don't really know, you know, far as in, understanding the scriptures. But she is interested in coming out and checking out. So I'm gonna see if she gonna do what she says she gonna do. But when we talk about charity, it has a whole lot. The scripture say it has, what you're gonna read, it has a multitude of sins. And in and of itself, if we have that particular mindset, which is what we should have, because we're supposed to be thinking about our brothers and our sisters and making sure that everybody that's in need is taken care of. And so much for even when you start to read scriptures and you start to understand and get the knowledge of the Lord, because we all feel some type of way if something happened to us, right? Say for instance, somebody breaking your car or breaking your house, you'd be pretty much upset and you feel some type of way. But if somebody breaking your neighbor's house, you might say, oh man, you might say something, you might look over and say, man, that's messed up what happened. But you don't feel the same way. But when you have a mind of God like David did, even after the story, what happened with him with Bathsheba, when the prophet came to him, he pretty much told him, gave him an analogy about, a man having, a poor man having one goat, and the rich man took it and he offered it up and whatnot, just to go through the story real quick. But David was upset like it was his own. So the point I'm getting at is, you supposed to have that same mindset. Whatever happened to your brothers and sisters, you should have that particular mindset and be upset about the same way, as if it was you. And that's the state of mind we got to get to, so that we can understand and have the mind of God. Because we all say that we all are children of God. We all say that, we all God's children. But then again, do we look at it in that aspect? Are we looking at our brothers and sisters and seeing that, okay, we feel, I feel the same grief that he feels. So once you start to get some knowledge, you start to understand that, and you start to look at it in that way, like, you know what, I need to make sure, my brothers and sisters straight. And when you have that mindset, then you be on the path to start to getting to having the mind of God, which is what we all trying to achieve and get to, which is very important. So we're going to open this up in Proverbs chapter 28. Proverbs chapter 28. And we're going to see something here. Watch what the Lord say, because we look for a whole lot of stuff, but watch this. Because he got it where it's set up. If you do things the right way, everything going to be all right. Because a lot of people be like, when they be want to talk about charity or do something, they be like, I just ain't really got it and all that. But if you have faith in the Lord, hey, you be able to do more than what you think. But you got to get your mind set up right. Proverbs 28. Proverbs chapter 28. And we're going to read 27. Now, watch this here. Go ahead.
He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack.
See, so the Lord he's telling you right now, if you give and you believe in the scriptures, right? If he said, if he that give up to the poor, he said, you are not going to lack. So people that you feel like you ain't got it, the Lord telling you right here, if you give it to him, you ain't going to lack nothing. Go ahead.
But he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse.
So he letting you know, hey, if you turn your eye, and people do that. It happens. You be in your car, you see a panhandler, he might be down the street a little bit now. You be looking like, hiding his eye, mean like, please, I hope you don't look over here. Don't come over this way, brother. You know what I'm saying? Don't walk down here. Please don't ask me for nothing. See, that's hiding your eye. You don't want to do that. You be in your car, you might turn your head the other way. So you can't, like he can't see you, but you hiding your eyes. You turn this way because you don't want him to walk up to you and ask you for nothing. That Lord tell you, don't be that way. Don't hide your eye, because then, read that again, that second half of that. He said, he that giveth to the poor shall lack nothing. So if you giving it, you're not going to lack nothing. But what?
But he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse.
So if you hide in your eyes, you have many a curse. Because see, you don't know what it is who that person, who the Lord might send them there, or what they might need. So you got to make sure you take care of them. You got to give them something. Most of the time they don't even ask for much. They just ask for change. Give them some change. You know, in my van, I try to set it up. Sometimes I forget to do it, but I try to set up and put like gold dollars in there, sit it in on the console, line it up, so that when they come, I don't want to be reaching in my pocket because that could be a problem. You know, you can reach in and grab something. You never know because, hey, the world is wicked right now. But, hey, I'll make sure try to put something aside for them. So when they come, just, whoop, you know, look at them. I don't try not to look away from them. I don't want to hide my eyes. I want, you know, when they're coming, because I know it happens. I've done it before. I'm guilty. Be looking like, please don't look this way, brother. You know, but you don't want to be like that. That's not what you want to do. So you want to make sure you own it and doing what you're supposed to. So say, he that give it to the poor shall lack nothing. If you believe that, you ain't worried about it. But he that hide his eye shall be many a curse. Hey, you don't want to hide that up on it. You want to have some blessings on it. Now let's go back up on that. Read, start at verse 19 and go ahead.
He that tilleth his land shall have plenty of bread, but he that followeth after vain persons shall have poverty enough.
So he let you know, hey, if you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to be all good. But then if you don't, we see that's what's going to happen. Go ahead.
A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that maketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent.
So you got to, hey, don't even worry about trying to get so much. He just said, hey, he tell you right there. He said that a faithful man shall abound with blessings. Hey, if you're faithful, you're going to be good. But he that maketh haste to be rich shall be innocent. Hey, don't even worry about being rich. Don't worry about that. Because see, in and of itself, that's what hold people up. Because you trying to hold on to what you got. Like, man, you know, I'm going to turn my eyes. I ain't got but a few dollars myself. But it looked like the woman who gave to the church, she only had one mite. She just gave it. See, because she believed in the Lord was going to cover and take care of everything. And that's the mindset that we supposed to have. Put it out there on the end. Because that's what charity is about. See, charity ain't always just about you giving something. It's about you too. You might give your last. Somebody might roll up on you, like, man, I need $1 real bad. And you might just say, all right, God, here you go. I don't know what I'm going to do, but hey, the Lord going to work it out. Because he said he didn't give it, ain't going to lack nothing. If you believe in that, you're not worried about it. The Lord going to take care. And put it out there. Because if you don't never put it out there and let the Lord work, you don't know how it is. That's how you increase in faith. You increase in faith, but by doing the things and doing the work and believing what the Lord said and letting him open things up so it can work for you. But if you hide in your eyes, you turn around, you don't want to be charitable, hey, you're going to stand in the rut. You ain't going to move to where you should be moving and how you should be moving. And that's growing. And we all need to grow. But go ahead, verse 21.
To have respect of persons is not good, for a piece of bread that man will transgress.
Yeah, so that in itself. See, these things here, we reading here, it's all tied together. Why is that? Because when you start talking about stuff like we read in 19, he that 20, he said, a faithful man shall abound in blessings, but he that hastens to be rich. Hey, if you want to be rich, you don't have a mindset like that, you ain't gonna be charitable. You're gonna want to keep all your stuff to yourself. Hey, I'm hurting too. I was looking at something on social media. It was kind of funny, but it ain't the way the Lord had stuff set up. Man had a sign on had written. He said, "I'm just as poor as you. I need help too." But that. It was funny, but that's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to, always look on to be able to help somebody, because when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, you're gonna want help yourself. And that's the thing we have to keep in mind, that hey, we all gonna need some help. We all gonna go down. I work for guys who got a whole bunch of money, but then sometimes they be like, I'm tight, and you be wondering how they tight, man. These dudes are rich, but sometimes they get like that. So we got to keep in mind that hey, sometimes you might need some help, and it runs like that. So when you charitable, that's what happens. Well, what verse you at?
22.
Go ahead.
He that hastens to be rich hath an evil eye.
So because that's what can hold you off from being charitable. But go ahead.
And considereth not that poverty shall come upon him.
So when you going that way, and you thinking like that, hey, it could be the reverse. But we just read where it said it's going to be a curse in 27, right? It could be a curse unto you. So you got to make sure you maintain and understand, hey, I got to make sure we doing the will. See, that's all doing the will of the Lord. But then again, you ain't doing nothing but helping yourself. Being charitable is an attribute that you got to have, because it's about your brothers and sisters that's around you that you need to be charitable with. But let's go further. Let's go to Luke chapter 6. Luke chapter 6. Luke 6. And we're going to read one verse here. Luke 6. And read verse 38. Luke 6 and 38. Go ahead.
Give, and it shall be given unto you.
So he let you know, hey, if you give, it should be given. But we read that in the Old Testament, right? We just finished reading that. He said, give, it should be given unto you. Go ahead.
Good measure, pressed down, and shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom.
So if you giving and you doing that, because people wonder, why people always can give. Because this is why. Because if you always give, Lord bless you. That's why a person that's always giving, they were able to give more, because the Lord keep blessing them. We got to understand how this thing works. Go ahead.
For with the same measure that ye meet withal, it shall be measured to you again.
So the Lord showing you how things how you operate in things. If you operate in that, hey, the Lord gonna bless you, because what we just read. Let's go to Philippians 2. Philippians 2, and pick it up at verse 1. Philippians 2 and 1. Go ahead.
If there be therefore any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any vows and mercies.
So he's telling you that. He said, hey, if there's any of these things, is any comfort, he said, if therefore is any consolation in Christ, any comfort and love, any fellowship in spirit, any vows of mercy, what?
Fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind.
So he want us all to be on the same page. Go ahead.
Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem other better than themselves.
See, this is a part of it that we have to obtain. Because I know it's hard, because we didn't came into this world with me, myself, and I attitude. It's all about me. But you have to look upon your brothers and sisters in a different way. It's telling you right here, he said, fulfill, verse 2, he said, fulfill ye the joy that you be like-minded, have the same Lord, being of one accord, of one mind. So you all have that same mindset. But then also verse 3 said, let nothing be done through strife and vainglory, but loneliness of mind, lest each esteem others better than themselves. So you're supposed to look at your neighbor and them better than you look into yourself. Because we're going to read, and you read in the Old Testament, it be saying eye for eye, tooth for a tooth, and all that. You do the same. He said, nah, you look at your neighbor. You supposed to look at them, take it another step. Better than yourself. But go ahead.
Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others.
So you should be worrying about, like I was saying in the opening, you supposed to be worrying about their stuff. You're supposed to have a mindset, say, hey, I need to look at the things of my brothers and sisters and have some care for that. Because normally your normal mindset is, when that stuff going over there, you're like, woo, man, I'm glad it ain't me. I'm glad that ain't happened on me. You shouldn't have that mindset. You should be trying to figure out what it is they going through and see how you can be charitable to help in any way possible. Call them up. What can I do to help you? What is it do you need? You need something. That's the mindset we need to have. We need to have that towards one another, because the Lord showed you what love is. So that means if he showed us the example of what love is, where he laid down his life for us. Because a lot of people say, well then, yeah, I'll walk and do it with the Lord. But would you do it with your brother right next to you, or your sister right next to you? When you look at that in that same aspect. And that's the mindset we got to have. because we're too distant from each other. We don't care enough for one another like we should. And that can be to our detriment. And we all guilty, even myself guilty of not looking at each other like we're supposed to. Because we walk up, we hug, we say peace sis or peace bro, we say all those things, but our operation and our mindset ain't the same. We're not looking at each other or upon things of each other the same way. And we got to get to that point where we see things in that manner so that we on one accord. Because if we don't do that, it's gonna be slim picking. It's good to say if the righteous scarcely be saved. And it's scarcely be saved because of the mindset that we have. The way we look at each other. What goes on? You know, it says don't be having your eyes look away, right? You see somebody in some trouble, you see they going through some stuff, you turn, let me go this way, let me turn around. Oh, please don't ask me for nothing, don't say nothing to me. That be the mindset. That's what happens. And you can't get caught up in that. You can't get caught up where you want to run away from people having stuff. It happened to them and you don't want them to ask you for nothing. Please don't ask me for nothing. That's not the mindset. You're going to have a mindset like, hey, if it happened, it is what it is. I'm going to give them what I can, and that's just that. That's the way we're supposed to look at it. But go ahead, what verse you at?
Verse 5.
Go ahead.
Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus.
Right, so this is showing you and giving you an example of what it is you should be looking forward to. So when you're doing these things, you got to keep this in mind. Go ahead, what is this mind? Go ahead.
Who, being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God.
Go ahead.
But made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men.
So the Lord came down, made in the likeness of men, took on the form of a servant to show you how you're supposed to operate. Go ahead.
And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself.
See, there goes the humble. These all go together. They all go in with one another. He humbled himself and whatever.
And became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross.
So he even humbled himself to the point, to the death of the cross, to show us how we supposed to be. This is the ultimate act of charity. Because I know a lot of people, you can have a whole lot of charity going on, but when it comes down to dying for your brother, your sister, you're like, that's kind of what people say. That's where the line draws. You're like, yeah, I love you, brother, but if the time comes down for me and you, I don't know. I'm gonna probably try to save myself. But the Lord didn't do that. So he's showing you an example as far as how charity goes. You should have that mindset. You should be the first one to want to step up and help somebody. Step up to do anything. Anything that you're doing together, that you're working together. Don't be the last person. Don't be sitting there with your eyes falling down, hoping it's my time to do this, but I hope they don't look over here. I'll try to slide through. You got an evil spirit on you. You don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that say, when it's time for it to step up and do something, you be the first one to step. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me step up for it. He didn't even ask me, but I see he might be in some need. He might need something. Let me get up there and get what I need to get, or go and do what I need to do. You want to have that mindset. But we don't have that. But the Lord is showing you here and giving you examples here on how you're supposed to operate and know, hey, I did the ultimate sacrifice. People get mad when somebody borrows something from them and don't give it back, and you be mad at them for that. Sometimes some of that stuff you say, hey, if they ain't give it back, whatever it is, hey, maybe they might need it, hey, just let it go. It is what it is. And you can have that mindset and understanding because you know the Lord gonna give you more anyway. And if any evil is done or anything evil that ain't right, the Lord gonna deal with it. He gonna make sure things is taken care of so you ain't got to worry about it. See, that's when your faith come in. You have to understand that. And that's how you operate in this thing. So you want to make sure that you handle things properly. Wait, verse you at? Verse 6, verse 7?
Verse 9.
Verse 9? Okay, go ahead.
Wherefore God also hath highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name.
Go ahead.
And that the name of Jesus every knee should bow, of things in heaven, and things in earth, and things under the earth.
Go ahead.
And that every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father.
So he's letting you know, hey, this is for him being humble and for him doing that. This is what the reward was. And we're gonna have rewards too, but we have to operate in our like manner. Not exactly what Christ did, but you got stages of stuff that you have to do and operate as a servant of God to get yourself in that like mindset. Because ain't none of us had to, resist it under blood. And it's a good thing we haven't, because we can't even resist of somebody stepping on our shoe or bumping into us. Something small like that, we go bananas. So we got to learn how to control ourselves and understand, hey, if you humble and you meek, you all that, because they all tied in with charitable. Because hey, you got to be humble if you and to be able to be charitable. It just go together. So when you have that mindset, you're able to operate right. But go ahead.
Verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
So he's telling you, you need to work it out. Those are the things that's going on from time to time. You need to work out in your mind. And he say fear and trembling because, hey, it's a tough road. In these days, the righteous is not winning. They're losing. But we know in the end, we waiting on our reward then. So, hey, we going to keep going on. So you got to work on it with fear and trembling. But go ahead.
For it is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure.
See that? He's telling you working in it. And we read, hey, he going to bless you, right? So it's in him working with you. But you got to start getting out there to try to put in the work. You got to be the one putting the work in the Lord is see. That's how it works. That's how the Lord operates. You come, because he told you he's standing at the door. He's knocking, right? If he's at the door, he's knocking. He ain't open the door for you. He ain't going to kick it in. He ain't snatching you nowhere. He's knocking. He said he knocked, he opened, he sucked with you. So you got to put forth your part. You got to go to work. You have to start it off and get moving, and then the Lord, you can allow the Lord to work with you. That's how the Spirit works. But you got to put forth your effort. You got to get out there and start working. But go ahead.
Do all things without murmurings and disputings.
So obviously that. You can't be trying to be a giver and you don't even really want to do it. So you want to get your mind into a point where it's all good. You want to get to a point where, hey, if I go through some stuff, I want to make sure I get my mind clear that I'm doing it out of my own heart. But go ahead.
That ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world.
So he's letting you know that, hey, through a perverse and crooked nation, this is what goes on. So you want to make sure that you are online with how the Lord's mindset is opposed to how you think and do things. So you got to keep that in mind. So let's go further. Let's go to 1 John 3. First John chapter 3. First John chapter 3. Pick it up at verse 11. First John chapter 3 and 11. Go ahead.
For this is the message that ye heard from the beginning, that we should love one another.
So this is the message that we heard from the beginning, that we should love one another. And what else?
Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother, and wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil and his brother's righteous.
So that's what happened with Cain. See, that's when things happen, when people doing what they want to do. This is the stuff that happens when people don't like when you're trying to do right. That stuff is happening even today. You talk about some people trying to do stuff right and stuff going on right, and you have an issue. You have an issue with that. He was talking about a brother who was preaching up here. He was at like gay pride parade. They ended up locking him up because he said he was a Christian and they didn't want to deal with that. But that just goes to show you, hey, this is the mindset that what's going on in the world right now. This is exactly what's happening. He said, for verse 11, he said, for this is the message that you heard from the beginning, that we should love one another, not as Cain, who was of that wicked one and slew his brother, and wherefore slew him, because his works were evil and his brother's righteousness. So they had that brother locked up. Why? Because their works was evil, you know. That's why they locked him up. They had a problem with that. But verse 12, verse 13.
Marvel not, my brethren, if the world hates you. We know that we have passed from death unto life, because we love the brethren. He that loveth not his brother abideth in death. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer. And ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him.
So he let you know in verse 13, he said, marvel not, brother, that if the world hates you. He said, don't look like a stranger. The world hates you. When I used to read this, if I had any understanding, I was like, why would the world hate you? Because they would make it seem like we all don't want to go. But then once you start to actually read the book and start to do what thus said the Lord, what's written in there, you start to figure out that, yeah, people don't like this stuff. They don't want to hear none of this stuff. You run around with the Bible, it's like you almost like selling drugs with it. Like, let's read this. I don't need none of that. Like, what's wrong with the book? It's a problem with people. But we know it's a problem because just like we read in verse 12, like Cain and his brother, hey, because when you wicked, hey, it shows. And they don't want to deal with that. So that becomes a problem. So when you try to open up the book, it's a problem. But then now we know what the scriptures is true, because we can see that it does exactly what it says that people come do. And this is how people operate. He said, marvel not, my brother, verse 13, my brother, if the world hates you, for we know that it hath passed from death to life, because it said it passed from death to life because we love the brethren, and he that loveth not his brother abideth in death. So if you have a problem with that, that's where you at. And then verse 15. Go ahead, let's read that.
Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer. And ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him.
So, hey, we already know that. You can just flip over Revelation and find that out. But most people don't want to accord with that. But hey, most people, you go back, there's a lot of people don't want to accord with a lot of God's laws that they ain't don't want to accord with no more. So, hey, would this go away? But go ahead.
Verse 16. Hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren.
So he's telling you that. So you're supposed to step in the gap for your brother. Have a mindset, a charity mindset, and understanding for your brother. Because the Lord did that, so he's showing you to be like-minded, we just read. So you want to be on one accord. You want to have that same mindset. We're supposed to care for one another, brothers and sisters. Love one another. But we know in the last day, they say, love of many wax cold, right? But then you want to be that light that shines. You don't want to operate like the world operates. People get real crazy and nasty over nothing. They curse you out just because you might have got over too fast. They going crazy. Whole type of spirit all over. We got to make sure you ain't operating in that. And just let them do them. But you want to shine a light that you're not in that state of mind how they operate. But go ahead, finish that. You finish that? Go ahead.
But whoso hath this world's good, and seeth his brother have need, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him?
Yeah, so he letting you know, hey, if you see your brother and he needs something, hey, you don't want to shut up your bowels. Just like we dealt with earlier in the Proverbs. We say, Lord say, when you giving to somebody, don't turn your eyes. Don't act like you don't see him. Lord tell you that. You gonna look away. I hope they don't ask me for nothing. The Lord tell you don't operate like that. That's not the way you're supposed to be. So he's letting you know that's not a godly manner there. He said, but whosoever have this world good, so that means you got some stuff, and see if your brother have need and shut up his bowels and don't have compassion for him, how do the love of God? You ain't got no love of God in you if you operate in that manner. Skip down to verse 22.
And whatsoever we ask, we receive of him, because we keep his commandments.
See, so that's like it. Once again, I'm telling you, even if you got to give your last, Because the song last $2. If you got to give your last $2, hey, give it. Because we know, he said, whatever we ask, we receive him because we keep his command. So whatever we need, the Lord going to take care of it. He been doing it just far. You haven't got where you have got to without him. Trust me. Go ahead.
And do those things that are pleasing in his sight.
Because that's what you're supposed to do. Why? Because, hey, we supposed to have like minds as Christ. You're supposed to have that same mindset. So if you operate in that same mindset, you operate in that same love, hey, this is what we're supposed to do. This is all about charity. But go ahead.
And this is his commandment, that we should believe on the name of his Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another, as he gave us commandment.
So that's what we're supposed to do, but go ahead.
And he that keepeth his commandments dwelleth in him, and he in him. And hereby we know that he abideth in us, by the Spirit which he hath given us.
So once you start to operate in this manner, then you start to understand, okay, this is exactly how we're supposed to do one another, be charitable one another, to give one another, and try to help one another. Care about them like the scripture said, like more than yourself. You're supposed to be working on that mindset. If something happened to your brother, you should be just as upset as if it happened to you. You're supposed to be like, man, brother, what we gonna need to do to get this thing together? That's the mindset you're supposed to have. You're supposed to think like that. We gotta get there, people. We gotta get there. I know it's gonna be tough, but that's where we need to get to. Let's go further. Let's go to Luke 10. Luke chapter 10. Luke 10, and pick it up at 25. Luke 10 and 25. Go ahead.
And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?
So now you got the Pharisees and the Sadducees that were going at it with Jesus, and now you got these lawyers coming at him because he was dealing with them. So watch what happened with this one. Go ahead, verse 26.
He said unto him, What is written in the law? How readest thou?
So he asked him, hey, what's written in the law? You know, how you read it? Which is gone away from today, church. They don't even read. But he told him, hey, how do you read it? Go ahead.
And he answering said, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself.
So he told him, hey, you love the Lord and you love your neighbor. Because see, once you do those two, everything fall up under that. Because we caring about those two. Go ahead. What does Jesus say?
And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live.
So he told him, hey, you answer this right. You go ahead and do that, and you're gonna live. If you're doing that. But go ahead.
But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Jesus, Who was my neighbor?
See, so you kind of get smart, you know. It's what you call a smart aleck, you know. He actually said, so, oh yeah, you know, I'm just trying to, you know. He said, I'm just trying to figure it out, you know. And he already know what it is. He said, so who is my neighbor? You know, because a lot of people think like neighbors, he's like, oh, they want to live next door to me. Nah, that's just being a smart aleck like he is. Who is my neighbor? But he gonna tell him, go ahead.
And Jesus answering said, A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment, and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead.
So it was a man, he was out there, he got into something, he was hurt. Go ahead.
And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side.
See, that happens a lot of times. Stuff be happening, people hurt you, like, let me go on the side. But we done read too many scriptures already that the Lord tell you, you ain't supposed to operate in that manner. Not only did he was hurt on the side, he went to the other side. Man, you want to be around that. He walked over to the other side. And that's supposed to be a man of God, right? That's the priest. He decided, I'm going to go on the other side of the street. I don't even want no part of that. But then we read earlier in Proverbs, he told you, hey, don't turn your eye. This is beyond turn your eye. You act like you ain't even sin. You just, I'm going over here on this side. But go ahead.
And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him, and passed by on the other side.
So he did that. Now Levites, the same thing. He came and he looked on the other side. Now notice both of these, the priest and the Levite, they don't even know the person. Because the question was, who is my neighbor, right? So you don't even know this person. Because see, a lot of times when you talk about charity, and I was even telling my wife that, she's like, I'd like to be charitable. I said, well, charity is more than just dealing with the people you know. So you're like, oh, I help the people around me and all that. Yeah, that's good. But charity should extend out past that. And this is what he's saying. Because a lot of times people in your circle, when you get charity, hey, they can kind of, give you some charity back. So it's like, y'all trading. It's more of a trade deal. Charity is you giving and you ain't expecting nothing back. You trying to help a person. And really, when you think about charity, it's not always just about giving. People think about charity and say, oh, I just got to give them some money. I just got to give them some money. Now, really, when you look at the big scheme of all of it, it's really changing the mindset. And it's not just changing your mindset, it's changing the individual mindset too. Right. Because now they see people can give and they see that happen, and then that's the mind of Christ you putting on them, and then they see that, and then one day they work their way around, they start to do the same thing, start to give. So that's the big picture about charity. It ain't about it's not about just giving stuff and people in need. It's about having a godly mindset. That's what charity is. That's the goal you're doing. So when you giving somebody something, you showing them that, hey, they should, at one point, Lord willing, they can reciprocate and bless somebody else. That's why you see a lot of homeless people when they be outside. A lot of times they be meek. They be real meek and laid back, and that's the spirit we all should have. But go ahead. What verse you at?
23.
Go ahead.
But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him.
So notice that this was just a regular brother or sister, you know what I'm saying? And he just came out, just an individual, and he just came out to help. Notice the priest and the Levite, they didn't want to have nothing to deal with it, which is supposed to be who people seek when they need help, right? But notice he just he said certain Samaritans as he journeyed, he was journeying, he came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him. Go ahead.
And went to him, and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the morrow when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee. So
he just helped him out, gave some money to help him out, to take care of him, make sure he was all good. And he said, whatever you put down on there, when I come back, I'll make sure I take care of you. Go ahead.
Which now of these 3 thinkest thou was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves?
So he said, which one of us? Which would be simple? Go ahead, 37.
And he said, he that showed mercy on him. Then said Jesus unto him, go and do thou likewise.
So he told him, hey, you should get on board to go and do that. You should go make sure you operate in that manner. Because he wanted to know, who is my neighbor, right? So he let him know, hey, it was just a certain guy. It was out there, right? And that's the person you need to make sure you take care of. And don't shy away from him. Help him out. Have the right mindset. Those are the things that we should do and we should operate in. Let's go further. Let's go to Luke 14, just a few chapters over. See, in and of itself, Lord, what we saw so far is when you have your mind set out to help somebody and understand that, hey, when you doing those things, you helping yourself. Because the Lord did that, operate in that love, and you supposed to operate in that love and lay down your life too. And the Lord didn't, a lot of times you ain't got to resist it like the Lord did. You ain't even got to go down that road. But you got to do your job and put forth the effort to help. Be meek. Be humble. Somebody say, oh, I go do it. No, I got it, brother. I got it. You got to be that. Don't be the person that's shying away, staring in the back, ducking and hiding. The Lord said, hey, don't look away. We read that, right? Don't have that mindset. Have the mindset of, let me see what I can do to help. And then once you in the situation, Lord willing, somebody can come and help you. Likewise, which is what you might want to have for yourself. But you got to make sure that you put forth the effort and learn and have that heart. Because if everybody started to do that and help and be charitable and give and all that, this world will be a better place. But we got to start within ourselves. And that way it can spread to others. Luke 14, and pick up at verse 1. Luke 14:1. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, as he went into the house of one of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath day, that they watched him. And behold, there was a certain man before him which had the dropsy.
So you got an individual who got a disease. Go ahead. Now they watching Jesus. Go ahead.
And Jesus answering spake unto the lawyers and Pharisees, saying, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day?
Because he already knew what they was on. So he asked them, is it lawful to do that? Go ahead.
And they held their peace.
So they didn't say anything. Go ahead.
And he took them and healed them and let them go. And answered them, saying, which of you shall have an ass or an ox fallen into a pit, and will not straightway pull them out on the Sabbath day?
See, they was being hypocrites. He helping them. They was being hypocrites. He helped that man. Man, they had the dropsy, healed them of that. And they was, in their heart, they angry because they feel like he broke the Sabbath. But he had to let them know. Right here, he in verse 5, he answered saying, which of you shall have an ass or an ox fall into a pit and will not straightway pull out on the Sabbath day? He said, which one of them what happened to you that you would try to get them out of there? Go ahead.
And they could not answer him again to these things.
No, because they know they operate in that manner. Go ahead.
And he brought forth a parable to those which were bidden. Then he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them.
See, this is the spirit that's on. And we have that in a lot of churches today now. You got the pastor, big chair up front and all that, sitting on the stage. Set up here as big as like a king seat up there. That's not how you're supposed to operate. So he said in verse 7, he said, he put forth a parable to those that were bidden, where he marked how they chose out the chief rooms and saying that they got the best spots in there. Go ahead, what did he say?
When thou art bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than thou be bidden of him.
Go ahead.
And he that bade thee, and him come and say to thee, give this man place, and thou begin with shame to take the lowest room.
So that's what will happen. But if you humble and you meek and you full of charity, you wouldn't have the same mindset. But go ahead.
But when thou art bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bade thee cometh, he may say unto thee, friend, go up higher. Then shalt thou have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with thee.
Yeah, so if you do it that way, you'll be more blessed. To go the opposite way with it, opposed to you exalting yourself. But go ahead.
For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted.
See, and that's the type of spirit that's in the world. Because it's in the music, it's in everything. We want to make sure that, hey, you don't want to operate in that manner. And a lot of that stuff you consume from day to day because you're living in the world, but you're supposed to come out of the world so that you're not operating like that. And have the right mindset, so you don't have those ways, those tendencies to do. But go ahead.
Then said he also to him that bade him, when thou makest a dinner or a supper, call not thy friends, nor thy brethren, neither thy kinsmen, nor thy rich neighbors, lest they also bid thee again.
So that's what we said. He said, hey, don't call them, because hey, they gonna give you the same thing. Then that ain't all just about charity. Somebody give you something today, and then tomorrow you give them something. That ain't it. But how the Lord see it? Go ahead.
And a recompense be made thee.
Exactly, because you're gonna get something. But go ahead.
But when thou makest a feast, call the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind.
See, them the people that the Levite and the Pharisee, they like, I ain't having them in my house. I don't want them people in my house. Nah. I'll walk on the other side, bro. See, that's what happens. But he told you, hey, if you want to do something, he said, but if thou makest a feast, call the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind. Them the ones you call. Go ahead.
And thou shalt be blessed, but they cannot recompense thee.
See, so then now you start to see how it's supposed to operate. See, Lord he's showing you a path on how this thing works. But you have to do it. See, if you go down this path, he's showing you, okay, he's telling you, because he said, if you do this, we read you're going to be blessed, right? So he's letting you know, he said, but when thou makest a feast, in verse 13, call the poor, the maimed, the lame, and the blind, he said, and thou shalt be blessed. This is how I blessed you, because for what? How you going to be blessed? For they cannot recompense thee. He said they can't do anything back. So now if they can't do anything back, the Lord going to take care of you. He going to take care of you. But if you don't ever go down that path, you never see and understand how things supposed to be. For what?
For thou shalt be recompensed at the resurrection of the just.
And sometimes it happens in a lifetime, but if it don't happen in your lifetime, the Lord got you on the end, which is more important than anything. So you got to keep that in mind. We got to have that spirit on us. We got to have that spirit of meek and humbleness, because you get all those things, charity, all that goes together. And if you're thinking on your brothers and your sisters and not just on yourself, you have a whole different mindset on things. When stuff happens to your brothers, it should be just like it happened to you. If you ain't looking at it in that aspect, then you got to work on yourself. You got to work to be humble and meek. Go ahead.
Verse 15, I think that's it.
Go ahead, yeah.
And when one of them that sat at meat with him and heard these things, he said unto him, blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of God.
So he's letting you know that hey, that's if you do what you're supposed to, you're gonna be blessed in that aspect. All right, let's go further. Let's go to Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50. We're going to read one verse right there. Jeremiah 50 and 34. Go ahead.
Their Redeemer is strong.
So you saying the Redeemer, which is the Lord, he's strong. Go ahead.
The Lord of hosts is his name.
So when you focus on that, when you said at the end, hey, he going to take care of it. The Lord is strong. So you ain't got to worry about, because a lot of times when you deal with being humble, you deal with being charitable, hey, you feel like, hey, you know, I'm hurting too. I need help too. But we also see the keys in that is that the fact that when you are hurting too and you give your last or you help at the end, then you start to see how the Lord can bless you and work. So you see the pattern on how things are supposed to go. Instead of you being tight pocket and your wallet open up like it's a 100-year-old safe, you give, and then you see the operation of how it works. Because once you do that, the Lord said, "I'm gonna bless you." But if you don't give and go down the path to seeing how to be blessed, and not only are you going down being blessed, you actually learning how to do things and operate in the love of God. You learn those skills on how things, and not even just learn those skills. You start to learn how the Lord operates. You start to see how he do things, how he functions. But you got to put forth the effort to see it manifest itself. And then once you start to see that, you start to be glad and say, oh, I see how the Lord works. And then you start to do more and more. But you got to be the one to get out there and start to do it. Can't look away. Can't hide and duck. Can't be like, I hated that he did this lesson. Now every time I see somebody, I got to give him something. You can't be like that. You got to have the right mindset. And trust in the Lord. He say he going to take care of you. Because then you start to grow and understand how things supposed to be. And you start to work with that and see, okay, we do that, all right. And believe in it and say, okay, Lord, I gave my last. It's on you. And watch him work. But you got to get in that process to see how it's orchestrated, and then you start to grow with knowledge and understanding and see how he worked this thing through you. You already see the path. We just got to go ahead and follow it and see what it is. And once we do that, hey, it's a blessing here. We see how the Lord operates. And we know he got it because it said, verse 34, the Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He what?
He shall thoroughly plead their cause.
Yeah, he gonna do that. And do what?
And he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon.
Hey, just like the Lord said, even at the end, sometimes it may be at the end, which is this is at the end. But we all know, hey, the Lord gonna do what he say. He's strong. So if you can lean on that with anything you go through, don't worry about it. Do what you need to do. The Lord got your back. Watch it work. His word ain't gonna come back void. Trust me. You gotta believe in it. And to believe in it, you gotta operate in it. When you operate in it, you will see. Put it out there. Do it. And you will see how he manifests. Put yourself in a pattern of doing these things. And Lord said, hey, prove me. Prove me wrong. Show us. Prove me wrong. See, that's the beautiful part about it. When you start to understand God, you start to lean on the Lord. That way, sometimes all this stress and stuff you deal with bills and all that, you can help yourself out. Like, Lord, hey, I done deal what I can. I try to do the best of it. It's on you, Lord. And watch it work. But if you don't put your best foot forward, you don't step out and do that, he's standing at the door knocking. Right. I want to help you. You won't open up and come holler at me. He there, waiting on you. But we got to go through the proper channels to see how it works. And then you start to operate and believe in it. And trust me, it works. But you got to put forth the effort to do it. And believe him. Can't be scared. It's like, nah, I can't do it. Every time I see one, I had one brother tell me, like, yeah, man, I hear you what you're saying. I want to help people out. But man, I give a guy $1, I go down the street, another $1. Then down the street, another $1. Then more money and more money and more money. Every time I go, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. But once you operate the right way, you will see. You see how it is. Hey, I give them all my coins. When it's all done, hey, I ain't got no more. I reload up next time. It is what it is. Don't worry about that. The Lord got us covered. We believe that. We know for sure. And it ain't a problem. Because he is our Redeemer. He's going to take care of it. Let's move forward. Let's go to 1 Peter 4, chapter 4. First Peter chapter 4, and pick it up at verse 1. 4 and 1. Go ahead.
For as much then as Christ hath suffered for us in the flesh,
So we know that, right? Go ahead.
arm yourselves likewise with the same mind.
Which is what we read. Go ahead.
For he that hath suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin,
Yes, sir. Because we operating in the right manner. Go ahead, verse 2.
that he no longer shall live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of God.
And this is showing you the key on how we supposed to operate. You be living from the mind of God. And we read a few scriptures to show you, hey, this is how we should be operating. Go ahead.
For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles.
Oh yeah. You know, because they are the ones in control of the whole world right now. So obviously they the one with the power. So normally you usually gravitate towards that way. And this will happen. Go ahead.
When we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine.
Oh yeah. You before you came in to have some understanding, this is the stuff you do. Sometimes you in and you still fall into some of this stuff. But you go through these things. He said, for the time past our lives may suffice us to wrought the will of the Gentiles when we walk in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine. Go ahead.
Revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries.
Hey, we done did all that stuff. We done partake in this stuff. Where you think Christmas and Easter and all that stuff came from? They came from Gentiles. But go ahead.
Wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you.
Yes, they think it's strange. And you might not be so far into rioting and doing those things. But hey, they be looking evil, looking at you crazy when you say, I ain't going to that bar. Or I ain't going to that club. I'm not doing that. Or they look at you crazy when you start having conversations that you used to have, and y'all start talking about, talk about the opposite sex, and you start like, you don't entertain that type of conversation. They be looking at you like, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Nah, I ain't doing that no more. So they look at you like that in that aspect. They were wondering like, man, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with you? You ain't on with that. You don't see that? You don't see that? You don't see that girl over there? You don't see that? You ain't on that? And women do the same thing, men walk by you, but they don't operate in that manner. Because we like, hey, that's not how we supposed to be. But go ahead.
Verse 5.
Who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead?
Because we know that's what happens at the end. So you want to make sure you ready with that. Go ahead.
For his cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to the men in the flesh, but live according to God in the spirit.
Go ahead.
But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer.
Go ahead.
And above all things have fervent charity among yourselves.
So he's telling you, hey, he told you above all things. He said, above all things have fervent charity among yourselves. For what?
For charity shall cover the multitude of sins.
So remember when I was telling you about that scale, where it be balanced out? He said, hey, charity, it covers the multitudes of sin. So you got a whole lot of sin, you start to give, hey, it can balance you out where you can make sure you get into the kingdom. It's covering it. So if you done a whole lot of sinful things, hey, you might want to get on board with some charity, because you got a lot you need to be covering up right now. Because you done a whole lot of stuff you know you wasn't supposed to do. Been out there, did stuff you supposed to, meet people for the first time, doing stuff you shouldn't have done, going the wrong way. But this charity will help you out. Read that again.
Verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
And above all things have fervent charity among
It
yourselves.
says above all. For what?
For charity shall cover the multitude of
That
sins.
is cover the multitude. Go ahead.
Use hospitality one to another without grudges.
So you be hospitality. You supposed to be. People talk about how being hospitality, being hospitable. You're supposed to do that. Of course, before to one another. We far from that. There's people that you go past people, forget hospitality. We be, man, get out of my way. Excuse you. It ain't none of that. Bumping into each other, talking crazy. Hey, we far from that. But this is the mindset we supposed to have and what we supposed to do and be like. He said, use hospitality one to another without grudging. Also, not being in a way where you don't really want to do it either. Can't have that. Can't have a mindset where I'm just doing because the book say do it, but I don't really want to do it. You can't be begrudging with it either. Verse 10.
As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God.
So you want to make sure you operate. Like I said, you got to make sure when you in this thing, you want to make sure that you walking in the right way, doing the right thing, operating in the right way, having that same mindset and showing your light towards God, being charitable. We got to get on the ball with this thing, because it's very, your salvation is on the line. Because I'm here to tell you, as a whole, man, we're far from charity with each other. And charity ain't just giving people stuff, as we can see. It's across the board with a whole mindset of helping out and looking out for people, and you looking out for people more than yourself, which is the mindset people don't have. Like the lady I did some work for, she said, I help myself perfect. Oh, Lord ain't telling you to do that. It's telling you the opposite of that. You got to help people in your household first, and then you go out. Look, they say that. You got to be charitable across the board. That was the same spirit the lawyer had, right? When he asked him, who is my neighbor? People out live right next door to me, and he showed, you don't even know. So you got to keep that in mindset in. And if you keep that mindset, we know the Lord going to bless you after that. Okay, let's go further. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 13. pick it up at verse 1. 1 Corinthians 13, 1. Go ahead.
Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal.
So he said, hey, even be speaking with tongues, because people want to make tongues like that's such a great thing, even though they ain't even doing it right now. They be speaking some gibberish now. But he said, though I speak with tongues, that's actually speaking another language, or angel, if I have not charity, I'll become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. He said, hey, if I ain't got no charity with all that, and I ain't helping my brothers and sisters, it's counting for nothing. Go ahead.
And though I have the gift of prophecy, and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, and have not charity, I am nothing.
See, notice this. He's speaking in tongues. He moving mountains. He got the gift of prophecy. He understanding all that. But if he don't have charity, he's telling you after all that, right? You would think he's good, right? With all that knowledge and all that. But if he ain't helping his brothers and sisters, he ain't got nothing. And the reason is, like we already done spoke upon in the intro, hey, you being judged according to how you treat one another, how you operate with your brothers and sisters. So if you ain't putting forth no effort to help them, what are you doing? Because people be like, oh yeah, if the Lord would say, I'll make sure I take care of him. Well, you got everybody else here. And the Lord look at it like, hey, if you want to take care of your brothers and sisters, you wouldn't take care of me. And that's the truth. That's just the way it is. Because if you just gonna take care of him and not nobody else, then now you've been a respected person. That ain't godly. That's the wrong mindset. But hey, that's what people do. He said, and though I have the gift of prophecy and understand the mysteries and all knowledge and all faith, so I can remove mountains and have not charity, I ain't got nothing. Verse 3.
And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor.
So now look, this is charity, right? This is charity we're talking about, right? He's talking about even he stole all his goods. He's talking about, we say he got all the knowledge, right? Now he stole all his goods. He feeding the poor. He's feeding the poor, which we look up the definition of charity. That's what it say, giving to the poor and all that, right? He said, though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor and what?
And though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing.
He's like, wait a minute, but they ain't giving this charity. But there's more to it. What we done read, right? There's more to it. So he said, though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, if I have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. Because it's across the board. It ain't just about giving, it's about helping, period. That's what charity is. Go ahead.
Charity suffereth long.
Go ahead.
And is kind.
Yeah, see, charity is kind. You got to be kind to one another. If some people think, when they got a lot of money, you think, okay, I can just help a lot of people and I'm good. No, it's more than that. Why? Because we already came up. It's a mindset you got to have. So you got to have a mindset. So charity suffereth long and charity is kind. Charity what?
Charity envieth not.
See, you not even, and you know why I don't envy, right? Because you caring about your brothers and your sisters more than you care about yourself. So if you have that mindset, the envy part is not going to even be on the plate. Because you caring about them. So you're not envying about what they got and what they don't. So charity envieth not. Go ahead.
Charity vaunteth not itself.
See? That's why I told you we're humble and all that, meekness, all that coincide one with another. Because charity don't vaunt this stuff. And you ain't going to be vaunted because you helping. You thinking about somebody else. You thinking about somebody else more than you. Hey, how can I help you? How can I get you where you need to be? How can I make things better for you? What do you need? That's the mindset you're supposed to have. Go ahead.
Is not puffed up.
See, it's not puffed up. Go ahead.
Doth not behave itself unseemly. Seeketh not her own. Is not easily provoked. Thinketh no evil.
Right, because we already seen that. Hey, it ain't even about you. Go ahead.
Rejoiceth not in iniquity.
Yeah, because you care about your brothers and sisters. So of course you're not going to rejoice in that if you have a charity mindset. Go ahead.
But rejoiceth in the truth. Beareth all things. Believeth all things. Hopeth all things. Endureth all things.
See, and this is the path you get on, which I spoke on earlier. If you start to do these things, you start to see how the Lord work and manifest His stuff. But you got to get out there and do it. You got your last $2. It is what it is. Put it to work and see. Don't be like, man, I ain't even get paid this week, and I ain't even got to pay all my bills. All I got is $1. Don't be hoping you ain't got no money on me. I ain't really got no money, so I'm good. Somebody asked me for something, I ain't got nothing on me anyway, so I'm straight. That's not the mindset you want to have. You don't want to be like that. You don't want to operate in that manner. Because see, you want to see and have the gift of God and see that it works. You want to see, oh man, okay, I see how it works with the Lord. I give a little bit, I see how he take care of it. But if you don't get on board to do these things, that's what happens. He said, bear up all things, verse 7. Believe in all things, hope in all things, and do it all things. Go ahead.
Charity never fails.
It never fails. Because he said, hey, you're going to be able to keep giving. As long as you give, I'm going to bless you, right? So it never fails. Go ahead.
But whether there be prophecies, they shall fail.
Sometimes that will fail. Go ahead.
Whether there be tongues, they shall cease.
Yeah, they stop. Go ahead.
Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away.
Hey, it happens. Trust me, that happens a lot. But go ahead.
For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away.
Right. So he's showing you, hey, this is the manner in which you should operate in. He's letting you know, hey, when it comes down to this path and going down this way, hey, this is the way it is. He said, verse 9, he said, for we know in part and we prophesy in part, but we know which is perfect is to come. Then in which part we have done away with. So he's letting you know, hey, when it all said and done, hey, we're going to have it, we're going to be straight. It's going to work for us. The Lord going to bless us when we believe in that. When you believe in that, hey, you'll see it operating. Trust me, though. Try it out. Try the Spirit. See what happens. The Lord's word will not come back void. You got to keep that in mind. Let's move further. Let's move further. You finished that, right? Oh, you got two couple more. Go ahead.
When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Right, because now we're starting to build up ourselves to the understanding. You understand how the Spirit works, how things operate. You start to build yourself up. Go ahead.
For now we see through a glass, darkly. But then face to face, now I know in part. But then shall I know even as also I am known.
Go ahead.
And now by the faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity.
So he's letting you know, he said now he abide in faith and hope and charity. Because we know we need to have hope, we need to have faith. Because you have faith, it means you're hoping for something. But he said right here, he said now abide in faith and hope and charity, but these three, but the greatest of those is charity. Charity is greater than faith and hope. And we read how charity help you out when you got multitudes of sin. Charity is something that we can use to help ourselves so we can get what we need to get to. It's showing you that you can operate in this manner where, hey, charity can save your life. But then again, you got to have a humble and meek spirit. And people who are charitable have those spirits. So if you come find out people think that I don't know if that person seems like they kind of mean and all that, then maybe you're not charitable enough. Stuff is simple. These simple lessons like this is a lot of times what get a lot of people knocked off course because they be want to do the big things like we read with the brothers. They have money. They just, if I give, I just give. Hey, I'm giving. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm giving. Yeah, but you ain't operating in charity. Just because you're giving, that's not helping it. Because the big picture, like we said before, is it's a change of mindset. It's to change your mindset and the person you're giving it to. So they can think, oh man, this is what it is. And if you continue with that cycle, then the world will be a better place. Now, I know we're far removed from that. Because nobody talking about charity, man. Nobody don't even want to see nobody right now. I don't really like people. I don't even want to be around people right now. We in a bad shape, but hey, we got to start slowly working there. And like I started this off with, this lesson here as far as charity, those little small things is what we miss out on. We go get into the big picture of doing stuff, giving stuff, I do a lot, I do all this and that, but you ain't really got down to the crux of the matter what charity is all about. You didn't get down to what it is, how you're supposed to operate in it. There's much more than just giving, because we just read. He said, hey, if I give, I ain't got nothing. And you look up the definition, that's what charity is all about, giving something. There's more to it than that. And that's what we have to understand, because you can do a whole lot. You can understand 70 weeks of Daniel and do all that stuff, have all those big things that people do. That's why he told them about speaking in tongues and prophesying and all that, which people strive to do, those big things. But it's the small stuff. It's what you need. You don't need to know 70 weeks of Daniel. You need to know this basic stuff. Just like with anything you deal with in life, anything that goes on in life that you have to deal with, they always tell you stuff, even with sports, it don't matter what it is. Just stick to your basics. Stick to your basics and you're going to be all right. And that's the formula that we need to make sure we understand, that, hey, we got to stick to just staying with the basics. Give me that. A lot of times people even get the word, man, I need you to explain me, man. Come here, send me these, I need to explain this stuff. Hey, don't worry about that stuff. Get the basics first. Everything else will come afterwards. You need to stick to that, because you can learn all that stuff like we just read. It don't do you nothing if you ain't got charity, right? You know all that, have all knowledge, have all understanding, have all prophecy, spoken tongues, do all that stuff. But if you ain't got charity, you ain't helping your brothers and sisters, it ain't profiting you at all. That's how strong charity is. It's important, because you got to change your mindset on how you think and how you go about things, so you can have a right mindset. And when you do that, hey, things, that's why I said 13. He said, now abide in faith, hope, and charity, and these things. But the greatest of these is charity. Out of faith and hope, charity is the greatest. All right, let's move forward. Let's go to Colossians chapter 3. Colossians 3. Colossians chapter 3, and pick it up at verse 14. 3 and 14. Go ahead.
And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness.
So he's telling you, hey, you put on charity. This is the bound for perfection. Go ahead.
And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful.
So we understand that, hey, he said, when you start to operate in this thing, hey, he said, let that rule. That should be the formula on how you're supposed to do, which we done read. As far as in how you get your blessing, and if you just go ahead and do it. Skip down to verse 23 and go ahead.
And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily.
We already know, hey, don't be begrudging when you're doing it. Go ahead.
As to the Lord and not unto men.
So he told you right there, you ask to the Lord and not unto men. So now that'll help you out to thinking. Because a lot of times some people be like, man, I don't want to give to them. I ain't giving to that poor man. I just saw on TV, man. I gave to the poor. That dude, man, that ran off in the Benz, man, over there. Man, he gonna take my money. I ain't giving him nothing. But you're not doing it unto the man. You're doing it unto God. So you don't worry about that, because the Lord told you, I'm going to bless you anyway, right? So you ain't got to worry about him getting in this port. Yeah, I seen it on TV. He got plenty of money. He don't need nothing. He just scamming people. Hey, Lord said you ain't doing it unto men anyway. You doing it unto God. And when you do it in that aspect, you understand, you're looking at the big picture. Because even if you do that, you can shine your light on him like, hey, there's some good people out there, and maybe he'll change from doing the wickedness he's doing. But if nobody ever interact with nobody, how is anybody going to learn to do anything the right way? So even if he's doing that, don't worry about that. Because you're not doing it unto him, you're doing it unto God anyway. And we're going through the right order and the proper channel, how things are supposed to be. So when you're doing it that way, you ain't got to worry about what they do with what they do with. Hey, you just did your due diligence, and you got a clean conscience. Hey, I'm trying to help the world move forward in righteousness. That's the mindset that you're supposed to have and understand. So it says right here in 24, it said, knowing this, that ye the Lord receive reward of inheritance. Well, no, he said, 23, I'm sorry. And whatsoever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men. Because that's what you're doing that for. 24 now.
Knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ.
So when you're looking at it in that aspect, you're doing it towards God. So, hey, you say, hey, I'm going to get my reward from the Lord, going to get my reward. Whether it be now, whether it be later, I'm getting it from him. I'm not worried about what they doing with what they do, whatever I give them, right? Verse 25.
But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done.
So hey, if you do wrong, you turn the eye, you don't want to do, hey, you're going to receive that at the end. Because hey, charity, we already see it cover the multitude of sin. So hey, you might need that last charity right there to get you over the hump. And if you don't do it, this is where you at. But you got to have that mindset across the board. That's why the Lord was talking about the chief rooms and the chief seat. You don't want to have that mindset. You don't want to be the first to run up there to get stuff. He said, sit in the back. If you're going to do something, hey, I'll be the first one to do it. You go ahead and get second. I'm doing it first. You can't be sitting out there off to the side hiding and ducking and stuff. You ain't supposed to have that mindset. That's the wrong mindset. That's not a charitable mindset. You're supposed to be the one who want to be out there and give and help any way I can. But go ahead. What verse is that?
Verse 25.
Go ahead.
But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons.
And right, and they'll respect it, whatever it is. Because hey, if you respect a person, hey, you already wrong anyway. So you got to keep that in mind. All right, let's move further again. Let's go to Romans 12. Romans chapter 12. Pick it up at verse 1. Romans 12 and 1. Go ahead.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
So the Lord letting you know, hey, this, what you doing right now is reasonable. When you focus on him and doing it the way he got it set up, it's reasonable. Go ahead.
And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Yep, so once you start to go through the process and start to do those things, then you start to see how the Lord operates, then you see how things go. So he said, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed, renewing of your mind, because that's the whole, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's renewing your mind, it's renewing their mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So you're going through this process, and you see, and you proving it to yourself too, because you see how the Lord works and say, oh, okay, I see how it goes. So you're doing it for yourself and for them. For what?
For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think.
But if you humble and you charitable, you don't have that problem, right? You ain't trying to sit up in the chief seats. You understand? You sitting in the back. So he told you this is the mindset you have. He said, for I said unto you through the grace given unto me in verse 3, to every man that is among you not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but what?
But to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith.
Go ahead.
Whereas we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office.
Go ahead.
So we, being many, are one body in Christ, and every one members of one of another.
Right, because it takes everything to work together. And we all one body, right? Go ahead.
Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith.
Go ahead.
Or ministry, let us wait on our ministering, or he that teacheth on teaching.
Go ahead.
Or he that exhorteth on exhortation, he that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence, he that showeth mercy with cheerfulness.
So he's telling you this is how you're supposed to operate. He said, verse 8, so exhort in the exhortation, he that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth diligently, he that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. Go ahead.
Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil, cleave to that which is good.
So he's telling you, hey, this is how you're supposed to operate. Get away from what's evil, cleave to what's good. Go ahead.
Be kindly affection one to another with brotherly love.
So we supposed to love each other. Be kind and affectionate with it. Not looking at people the wrong way and looking at people, I don't even like this person. You know how we talk, man, I don't even rock with them. I don't mess around with them. When they come, I'm going the other way. See, that's not be kindly affected one to another. With brotherly love and what?
And honor, preferring one another.
Right. So you ain't supposed to be looking at one person over and hey, you shouldn't have that mindset. But go ahead.
Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit.
Go ahead.
Serving the Lord.
Go ahead.
Rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer.
Go ahead.
Distributing to the necessity of saints, given to hospitality.
Yeah, so that's what we're supposed to be. We read that before. Go ahead.
Bless them which persecute you. Bless and curse not.
So he tell them, hey, people who do things towards you the wrong way, he telling you he said, bless them which persecute you. Bless and curse not. Don't get mad at them. Because see, why wouldn't you get mad? Say, oh yeah, if they don't like me, I shouldn't like them, right? It's supposed to be eye for eye, tooth for tooth. No, he just letting you know that, hey, if you show them, even though they been, persecuting you and doing things that they ought not to do, and you show them a good side on side, and you still bless them. He said, bless them that persecute you, bless and curse not, and you don't have no ill will to them. That's how they learn, like, you know what, I'm tripping. I'm doing stuff the wrong way. I shouldn't be like that. That's how you show. That's how you let your light shine. That's how people see things and learn how to correct themselves. But if we dishing out the same spirit that they putting out to us, nobody's learning anything, and the world continue to be the same way. So he said, bless them that persecute you, bless and curse not. 15.
Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep.
Because if you have that mindset, like we've been talking throughout this lesson, hey, if you see your brothers and your sisters going through stuff, hey, when they happy, you should be happy too. When they weeping, hey, you weeping too. Hey, what's wrong? What's going on? You should have that same mindset, because he said you're supposed to love them as you love better than yourself, right? Exactly. So if you caring about them more than you caring about yourself, you're gonna be in this. He said, rejoice with them and rejoice, and weep with them that weep. So when they sad going through, you feeling sad too. Why? Because it said also when we read, we all one body, right? So if you all one body, you all on one accord, and you reaping and you feeling the same way, y'all on one accord, y'all, hey, they hurt, you hurt.
That's right.
If you got a problem, I got a problem. Because we all one. So that's the mindset we have. So when you start having that mindset and charitable, it can be a blessing. It's a blessing for everybody. It's a peaceful thing. But when you ain't thinking like that, and you don't have that mindset, then it becomes a problem. And that's a problem that you need to work out within yourself. Because, hey, if the righteous scarcely be saved, that means you got to get involved in this thing and get it. Verse 16.
Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate.
So you supposed, hey, look at brothers that they low, they ain't up there. Hey, brother, how you doing? I see you sitting back there, man. Come on up, man. Come on up to the front. You want to make sure you make it everybody come, because you love everybody, right? They may be at a lower state. They may not have some things others got. But hey, we treat all each other the same, because we all one body. Go ahead.
Be not wise in your own conceits.
He said, don't be wise in that. Go ahead.
Recompense to no man evil for evil.
He said, don't go evil for evil. Don't do that. Go ahead.
Provide things honest in the sight of all men.
So there's things to do and how you're supposed to do it the right way. He said, do it honest in the sight of all men. Go ahead.
If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men.
And for the most part, this is what it should be. You should make sure you work it out like that. You shouldn't have a whole bunch of people that don't like you. You just shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't go down through your head and a lot of people say, yeah, no, I don't like that person. You shouldn't have. If that's the case, you need to work on your character. He's telling you right here, he said, if it's possible, because sometimes some people just don't want to do right. But more than likely, it ain't a lot of people like that you around. So he said, if it be possible, as much as liability, live peaceably, all man. Hey, be at peace. But like, hey, even if they like that, hey, you don't like me, I'm good. I like you, I'm cool. Let it be on them and not on you. Not you talking about, man, I don't mess with them like that. I don't like that. Yeah, as soon as when they come one way, I'm going the other way. That's not the way you're supposed to be. Go ahead.
Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves.
Hey, we already know why you don't have to avenge yourself, because vengeance is the Lord. So you don't have to do that. When we seen that, Lord show you, let him operate and do what's right. You can see it work. He said, did his beloved, avenge not yourself, but what?
But rather give place unto wrath.
Hey, give place unto wrath. And we know where that place is supposed to go. Go ahead.
For it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord.
And when you put all that on the Lord, you can rest assured. You don't got to worry about it. So when you have some understanding, you got to worry about somebody doing some ill will towards you and not doing right. The Lord going to take care of it. And trust me, he going to take care of it better than you ever could. See, that's what people don't realize, like, oh, they getting away. They not getting away with nothing. Anybody do any ill will or anything to you, you can live at peace because you can say, hey, hope the Lord have some mercy on you. Because the Lord got it perfect. He got everybody's number. He know exactly what he needs to do to deal with people out here. He know exactly what you need to get you right. To get you where you need to be. You don't have that understanding and knowledge, but the Lord do. So that's why the vengeance is there. He said, dearly beloved, verse 19, dearly beloved, avenge not yourself, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Verse 20.
Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him.
So if your enemy, he said, hey, your enemy, he needs something, he said, give him something. You might be in your heart, and don't be grudging, because you be like, I ain't giving you nothing. I don't like you. He said, hey, you can't operate that. He said, therefore, if thy enemy hunger, feed him. Go ahead.
If he thirsts, give him drink.
He said, even if he's thirsty, give him a drink. Person that you know you don't like. Go ahead.
For in so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head.
Because if he decide he don't want to do right, the Lord gonna deal with him. That's what the coals of fire. Because he already been warned and showed, hey, you shouldn't operate like that. And if he don't change his heart, he gonna heap coals of fire on his head. That's gonna be up to his detriment. And all you can sit back and say, man, I tried to help him. Verse 21.
Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good.
See, and that's the whole mindset. So you gotta, because we trying to change people's mindset. So you gotta operate, you gotta overcome evil, you gotta overcome it with good. So when things go wrong, hey, you gotta go about the good way to do it. Let's go further. Let's go to Proverbs 13. Proverbs chapter 13. I'm going to read one verse there. 13 and 21. Go ahead.
Evil pursueth sinners.
So he said don't be, what we just read before, and Romans said don't overcome evil with good, right? But then right here, he said evil pursueth sinners. So if you trying to get somebody back on that, notice that this is what happens when you doing the other way. Evil pursues sinners and what? But what?
But to the righteous good shall be repaid.
He said, but to the righteous good shall be repaid. So if you do what you're supposed to, hey, it's gonna all turn out all right. And we believe in that, and we've seen it countless times through the scriptures. Let's go further. Let's go to Matthew 22. Matthew chapter 22. We're going to pick it up at verse 35. 22 and 35. Go ahead.
Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law?
Which we read once before in Luke. But go ahead. Same situation. But go ahead. It's another twist of it. Go ahead.
Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment.
So we read that too. It's the first and great commandment. And then he didn't ask him this one, but he put this in there. But go ahead.
And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So he let him know, hey, these go together. He said the second one's like it, you love your neighbor as yourself. Wow.
On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
So all the law and the prophets All that stuff, it hangs on that. But when we read Romans, we said, hey, if he had prophecy, the gift of prophecy, if I had all these gifts, if I don't have charity, I ain't got nothing. So he letting you know these two, that's why those two hang on that, those two on that. Because when you wonder, like, well, so wait, he said he give. He said if he got a lot to give, right? If he give to the poor and all that, he still ain't straight. Ain't that charity? But he's letting you know, hey, all the prophets, all that. That's why he said if I speak in tongues, if I do all that stuff, if I don't have charity, I ain't got nothing. But he's telling you right here, because these two, he said in verse 39, he said, the second is like unto thyself, love thy neighbors thyself. And on these two commandments hang all the law, the whole law and the prophets. But now we starting to see why that all hangs on that.
Yes, sir.
We understand why all that stuff hangs on those two. Because we all starting to understand that, hey, you being judged, how you deal with your brothers and sisters, how you charitable you doing with one another. Because that's what judgment day is. People wonder, well, what you judge? We judge on here, but it's also written how you operate with one another. We on trial right now trying to get into the kingdom of God, and it's how you operate with one another. You hear the angels and you see them, they writing stuff down. What you think they're writing down? How you treated each other. How you treat that sister. How you treat that. How did she treat that brother? All that's being wrote down from day to day. How you help each other. What do you do? So you got to keep that in mind. So that's why he said these two. He said in verse 4, he said these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Because if you do these two, everything else is good. You don't have no problem with nothing else. Because if you love the Lord with all thy heart and all thy soul, you're going to do what the Lord say. And if you love your neighbor, you're going to make sure you do right by him. And that's pretty much everything on this earth. So then you it's all summed up. You good. But that's if you doing that stuff and doing those things. Let's go to Leviticus 19. Leviticus 19. We'll pick it up at verse 1. Leviticus 19:1. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying.
So we got the Lord speaking right here now. A lot of times you want to be saying, oh, this is Mosaic law. Hey, Lord, keep telling you in the beginning, this is the Lord speaking unto Moses. What did he say?
Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy.
So he let you know, hey, you should be holy because I am holy. Go ahead.
Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God.
Go ahead. So he let you know, he said, hey, this is the things that you should do, how you should operate. He said, I'm the Lord your God. You should fear me and do this stuff. Go ahead.
Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God.
So this is how you operate. Skip down to verse 11. Go ahead.
Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another.
See, this is how you supposed to operate. You start dealing with the commandments, but we know those two, we said it holds all the law and prophets, but if you doing what you're supposed to, you're not going to do these things. This is the rest of the commandments, but you see, hey, if I'm loving my neighbor, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to steal from him. Neither should I deal falsely. Neither should I do what?
Neither lie one to another.
See, I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm not going to deal falsely. I'm not going to lie. Go ahead.
And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord.
That's part of the first commandment. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
They say if you owe them, you make sure you pay them. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear thy God. I am the Lord.
Go ahead.
Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor.
So that he's letting you know, hey, this is how you supposed to. We don't respect the person. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people. Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord.
If you loving your neighbor as yourself, you shouldn't be doing those things. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart.
Right, go ahead.
Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer his sin upon him.
So you're supposed to let them know. Hey, when you see them doing wrong, you're supposed to rebuke them. Contrary to how they teach you now, you ain't supposed to say nothing to people.
Right.
Well, you can't judge me. You know, this ain't about judging. This is about you in error and you need to be corrected. You know, that stuff people say, you can't judge me, the Lord gonna judge me. That stuff, anything you do in this world, you be corrected at. How come when it comes to God now you can't be corrected? That don't make any sense to them. But that's just how people do it because they don't want to do right and their deeds are evil, so of course they don't want to be corrected. But go ahead.
Verse 18. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
And that's why they hang on that. But then we know we don't have to bear no grudge. Like if somebody normally do something to you, you be mad, right? You upset, but you ain't got to bear no grudge. Why? Because we know vengeance is the Lord. So we ain't got to worry about that. We believe the Lord gonna cover it. We don't worry about it. We say, okay, it is what it is. Well, I know the Lord gonna make sure you take care of it, so I ain't got to worry about it. See, when you have that mindset, you understand that, hey, you can be charitable. Because if you grudgingly, you ain't gonna be charitable. If you got a different type of spirit on you, you're not gonna be that. But if you let the Lord handle those things, and that's a stress reliever anyway. If somebody do something wrong, let the Lord deal with it. You ain't got to worry about it anyway. You help yourself out. So, let's move further. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 8. Zechariah chapter 8. We're going to see something here. Zechariah 8 and 16. 8 and 16. Go ahead.
These are the things that ye shall do. Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates.
So he said, this is how you're supposed to operate. These are the things you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to operate. Go ahead.
And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor.
So he said, hey, don't be thinking like that. Somebody do something to you and do something wrong, you be thinking, boy, man, boy, this is what I could do to you, boy. Ooh. He said, don't have that mindset. Don't think like that. But then when you letting stuff go on to the Lord and let the Lord handle it, you don't have that mindset. He said, let none of you imagine evil in your heart against his neighbor. You know somebody might have legitimately did something wrong to you. He said, you put it on the Lord. He said, hey, don't be evil. And what else?
And love no false oath.
He said, hey, don't love no false oath. And for what?
For all these are things that I hate, saith the Lord.
He said, hey, Lord said, hey, don't even go on there. Don't do those. All those things I hate. I hate that stuff. Don't operate in that manner. And that's where the world as a whole is operating. Everything the Lord like, he don't like, that's what they operate in. You got pride stuff, pride parade. Hey, the Lord hates that stuff. Those are the things he don't like. But then when it's contrary to God, that's what it lines up with that. So let's go to Proverbs 6 and see some of that. Proverbs chapter 6, pick it up at verse 16. 6 and 16. Go ahead, my brother.
These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yeah, 7 are an abomination unto him.
So he's telling you, hey, these 6 things, this is what the Lord hates. He don't like it. And 7 is an abomination to him. Go ahead.
A proud look.
So he don't, hey, you proud, he don't like it. So much for pride. So much for that. A proud look, what up?
A lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood.
Hey, that's what happens. Go ahead.
And heart that deviseth wicked imaginations.
Mm-hmm.
Feet that be swift in running to mischief.
Oh yeah. See, that's the stuff that people do. When you got an evil heart, that's what you own. That is your mindset. He said, a proud look, a lying tongue, a hand that shed innocent blood. Go ahead. hard to deceive wicked imagination. Go ahead.
Feet that be swift and running to mischief.
Go ahead.
A false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among
See,
brethren.
that's the stuff the Lord hates. Dude, these are the things that the Lord can't stand. Go ahead.
My son, keep thy father's commandment, and forsake not the law of thy mother.
Go ahead.
Bind them continually upon thine heart, and tie them about thy neck.
So you're supposed to always keep that stuff in your mind. Go ahead.
When thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. And when thou awakest, it shall talk with thee.
Because you got that mind. See, once you start to get on the path and understand these commandments and doing these laws and statutes and judgments, then you and seeing how the Lord works. 'Cause a lot of times you can read stuff, read laws, read statutes, and have some understanding, but then you got to let it manifest and work. See how the Lord operates. Put yourself out on the line. Because a lot of times you be out there, you towing the line, you get right on the edge, but you won't go out and do it. You got to go out and step out there. Step out on faith. That's what it's about, doing it. And watch the word of the Lord won't come back void, but you got to put yourself out there to do it. You got to step out there. And once you start to do that, then you can start to see it manifest and how the Lord works and see how things go. Go ahead.
Verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
So that's what it is. It said reproof of instruction is our way of life, right? So much fun you can't judge me, right? Hey, that's how you're supposed to get better with anything you're doing. How do you get better if nobody don't instruct you so that you can get better? Those are the things that you're supposed to do. So we almost get down to the end. Let's go to Philippians chapter 4. Philippians chapter 4. Pick it up at verse 11. Philippians 4 and 11. Go ahead.
Not that I speak in respect of one, for I have learned, in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content.
See, that's what the Lord let you know. Hey, wherever you at, the things that you've done and been through, hey, wherever state you're in, be content with that. Because once you start to think, I need more, or I need to hide this, I need to hide that, hey, your charity gonna go right out the window. So whatever state you in, and trust me, the state that you in is the best state, because the Lord knows what's best for you. He knows what it is that you need. So you just need to be content where you at. Because you get anywhere else, you're going to be all messed up. He got you where you need to be, because that's where you need to be so you can grow. So you know in that state, he tell you, hey, he said, verse 8, he said, now I speak in respect of one, for what I've learned, and this is what he learned, and this is how we learn as we go along. In whatever state I am, that we're to be content. I'm good where I'm at. Always have that in mind, I'm good. I'm good where I'm at. Go ahead.
I know both how to be abased, and I know how to abound everywhere, and in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need.
So he letting you know, hey, no matter what state we go. And we go through, see, we don't look at things in this aspect of life. This is how we go through stuff all the time. Sometimes you got money, sometimes you down to your last dollar. So it just be like that. But you supposed to be, don't fret. When you ain't got no money, oh man, I don't know what to do. You supposed to believe in the Lord. You supposed to have the right mindset. So he's telling you, say, I know how to be abased, I know how to be abound. He know how to deal with this stuff. He know how to understand that the Lord got me. He believe in that. The Lord put you in the position you in that situation. You got to understand you in that position for a reason. He said, I know both how to be abased, I know how to be abound, and every width of all things I am instructed to be full, to be hungry. So he full one day, I'm hungry the next. And this goes on all the time, and we be panicking about stuff and going through things and all that. Every year you're gonna do this again next year. You're gonna be like this. Don't even worry about it. The Lord got you covered. When you gonna figure it out? He got you. You be worried about losing stuff or not, and you steady gaining every year. When you gonna do? How many more years you want to do this? About 10 more years you gonna go through this cycle of understanding, figuring out. And oh man, I don't know I'm gonna pay this bill. You've been paying this bill all along. You increase. You keep increasing. You got to learn how to be abased, how to be abound, not to worry about it. You okay. That's why he tell you in the beginning, hey, just be content on where you at. You be content where you at, you're fine. He said, both to be full, to be hungry, both to be abound, and to suffer need. Hey, sometimes you get like that. But then you're supposed to be cool. Don't be panicking. Like, oh man, I need stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. Hey, the Lord got you. You're going to do this next year. You got to record yourself. Record yourself that day, and then next year, play it back to yourself. So you can see, you're going through it all over again. You got to be cool. Lord got you. He got you on the edge. You drowning like Peter. You going down. He got you. Go ahead.
I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens
See,
me.
they use this scripture, but notice they don't read the one before that. Everybody say I can do all things Christ will strengthen me, but then hey, you know how to be poor, you know how to be abound, you know how to be paid, you know how to have nothing. That's what he's talking about, right? You know, I can be cool with whatever state because I'm content. Man, I ain't got no dollar. I ain't got a dollar on me right now. It is what it is. It is where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Give me next week, man. Lord willing, man. I got you. I ain't got it today. I can be cool, but I'm cool with that. I'm cool. I ain't got nothing. But I'm straight. I'm breathing. I'm all good. And that's why you got to be content. Then you start to grow. And then you start to understand, okay, the condition I'm in, hey, I'm passing this now. Let me get to the next level. I'm understanding not to freak out. I'm learning how, okay, I'm understanding that. Hey, man, my last dollar, man, here you go, bro. That's all I got, man. But hey, you take it. You know what I'm saying? You might need it better than me, man. And I'll be walking away straight and I'm good. I gave that last dollar. I want to run that dollar over to him. Because, hey, Lord, my God blessed on me. I ain't got but $1. Baby, I ain't gave out enough. Let me run that to you. So that way I can be straight. So now I can sit back and let the Lord work. I done gave it to him. I was all I got, Lord. Here it is. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Now he said also don't be slothful now. You know, you still got to go and do what you're supposed to do. But at the same time, hey, you did what you're supposed to do. I gave, hey, now I can just sit back and watch the Lord work. That's the way it's supposed to be. What verse you at? That's it? Okay, let's go to the last scripture. 1 Timothy 5. 1 Timothy 1, sorry. 1 Timothy 1. Pick it up in verse 5. 1 Timothy 1, 5. Go ahead.
Now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned, from which some having swerved have turned aside unto vain jangling.
See, that's what happened when you don't go down the right path. He said, for now the end of the commandment is charity. That's the end of it. Out of a pure heart and of a good conscience and of faith unframed. So he's letting you know, hey, this is the way you're supposed to. You have a good heart, faith unframed. This is how charity is. Go ahead.
From which some having swerved have turned aside unto vain jangling.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't go down the right path. Go ahead.
Desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say, nor whereof they affirm.
Go ahead.
But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient.
That's what it's all about. Because if you ain't breaking no law, then you know the law ain't gonna apply to you.
Exactly.
But when you break the law, then now you need the law. That's what happens all the time. Stuff happens to people, things happen all the time. People run stop signs. You don't even have stop signs. But some intersections I come to say, man, they need a stop sign here. Then they won't put one there. Then somebody get hurt, then they come and put one in. Soon as somebody get hurt, then they come run one over here. We need a stop sign over here. But hey, that's what the law is. Go ahead.
For the ungodly and for the sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers.
So that's what happens. Then you put the law comes in effect when stuff go wrong. Like the stop sign stuff go wrong, put a law in. But it's for people doing that. Because you don't need no law if everybody do what they're supposed to. But when you don't, then you got to have a law there for people to do things that's contrary to the scripture. Last scripture, go ahead.
For whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons.
That's why you have these laws out here. Because when people doing wrong, you have to know, hey, this is wrong. That's why they don't want to hear these things. When you hear these things, you know, hey, you're supposed to get right. This is stuff that's supposed to correct you and have you doing things right. And what?
And if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine.
And if it's anything else that's contrary to sound doctrine, hey, you rebuke people and things need to be done the right way. But when you have charity and you doing what you're supposed to and you helping people, that change people's mindset. And it helps them and it helps you. Charity, I thank y'all for y'all time.